friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Aylin, and today we are going to be going over all of the books that I read in the month of July. I will be honest, the month of July was a very odd reading month for me. I am currently working on editing my weekend reading vlog, which will hopefully be out either before or after this. In that video, I managed to finish 3 books, and prior to that, I had only read 3 books. I took like a week and a half off of reading. I also know that sometimes you need a minute to like miss your hobby so that it can continue to be your hobby. I am a firm believer that most things happen for a reason, not all, but most. And whatever the reason is that I needed to take that week and a half off, it led me to completing 7 books for the month of July, which I am pretty pleased with. We are in my car today, Chandler Ainsley style, to do this wrap up. Let's go through the 7 books that I read this month. Starting out, I read the second book in the Bright Falls series. I listened to a lot of audiobooks. I read 1 physical book this month, which wasn't great, and I'm hoping to change for August. Still read, so it's fine. Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail. This is by Ashley Herring Blake, and I ended up giving this one a 4 out of 5 stars. Like I mentioned, this is the second book in the Bright Falls series. It is the sequel to Delilah Green Doesn't Care. This is a sapphic romance series, and I'm currently listening to the 3rd one and really liking it. I fell in love with Bright Falls as a town and this group of characters that we are following along this series in the first book. So I was really excited to read this one, especially because at the end of the first book, you really come to understand more of Astrid, but it wasn't so much that I was like, I know her. So in this book, we get a lot more of her background, obviously. These are dual POV. It takes place in this small town in Oregon. Astrid is an interior designer. She took over her mother's interior design business. She's decently good at it. Her mom has really created a solid company, and Astrid knows how to do like modern design. Her company, along with like a crew of construction workers, is brought on to renovate this really popular establishment in Bright Falls that has needed an update for such a long time, while trying to keep the historic, like nostalgic value to it, which is where Astrid meets Jordan. Jordan is on the construction crew. She is like the head builder or something like that. I don't know what her title is. Head builder it is though. She doesn't agree with a lot of Astrid's design plans because they're just very basic, plain, modern. They don't really have any character to them, and you can tell her family's not really happy with them, but all of this exposure on this TV show is going to help bring them business, which they have been severely lacking. So they kind of just say hands off. Jordan is not about to do that though, and so she kind of is sabotaging Astrid's plans. They have quite the misstep for their meet cute. Jordan ends up spilling coffee all over Astrid. I forgot to mention, this book starts where the second book has kind of left off without any spoilers. Astrid has broken off her engagement, and Jordan has just moved back home because of a kind of rough ending with a breakup that she had just gone through. I'm spending way too much time talking about the details of this book, and you guys can read it. I'm not very succinct when it comes to like summarizing. There's Astrid, there's Jordan. They're kind of at odds at the beginning of the book, and over the course of the book they come to realize that like maybe this isn't the thing that makes Astrid happy, and Jordan seems to be way better at it. They kind of find a common ground, work together, form this beautiful relationship, work on trusting each other. It's Astrid's first relationship with a woman, and I think her first time like really coming out to herself. I finished this book July 1st, so if the details are a little bit fuzzy, it was over a month ago and I apologize. It's the first time Astrid is really honest with herself about her sexuality, and she's trying really hard to make sure that Jordan feels loved and appreciated, respected as a person, and not just like an experiment to see if she likes this, which obviously is kind of like what Jordan is in part afraid of, on top of like all of her other relationship trauma. So I really liked this one. It wasn't a perfect 5-star for me like the other one. The other one dealt with grief, which is like an automatic star for me, anytime a book deals really heavily with grief and it's done well, there's something about it that I connect with. So this one was still a 4 out of 5 stars, maybe 4.25 if I'm going to be super picky about it, but I really liked this one. I really enjoyed this series. I really love this cast of characters, and I'm intrigued to continue on. Next, I was kind of behind where I wanted to be for the month, and I was texting Stasia from Readers C about what I should read, and she was talking about Nikki Castle's The Tinder Fix, which is a short story that Nikki Castle came out with, and I have read a couple like short stories and novellas from her before, so I went ahead and picked it up. This is very, very short. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. This is about a girl who has a Tinder date. He is a jerk, hands down, and before like the date actually begins, the bartender's like, I'll keep an eye on it, you're a beautiful girl, I know you have a date, if it doesn't go well, I'm here and I'll kick him out. It doesn't go well, and her and the bartender end up having like sort of a thing. And it was wonderful. It was really fun. It was definitely very spicy, but like I said, really cute, fun, a good quick read if you want something a little bit spicy as a romance. It was fun. There's not really a ton to it, but for what it was, I liked it, which is why I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read the entirety of the Kiss Quotient series by Helen Huang, starting with the Kiss Quotient, obviously. This is the first book in the Kiss Quotient series. I know, you're shocked. This is following Stella and Michael. She is on the autism spectrum. She does a decent job of masking it at work, but she's getting a lot of pressure from her parents to provide grandchildren, and she's not good at relationships, and she's not good at the whole physical part of relationships, she thinks, like, due to her autism. She hires a male escort, enter Michael, who escorts on Fridays to help his mom with her medical bills after his father had left and kind of left his family with nothing. They end up meeting on this first Friday, and Michael has sworn that he will never do repeat clients, but when Stella gets too like overstimulated by everything that's going on, he's like, hey, it's fine, like, we don't have to do this, we can take this so slow, and he agrees to continue giving Stella lessons in intimacy in order to help her progress, and those lessons kind of change into like relationship lessons as opposed to just the physical element of it, and they learn to trust each other, boundaries, communication, all of the key things that you need in a relationship. I believe I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really loved it. I loved the autism representation. I loved their relationship. I loved the emotional depth along with obviously the development of the romance. It was really good and definitely intrigued me to continue on. Fun fact, I tried to read this initially when it came out, but I wasn't like a super huge romance reader at that time. I definitely didn't read like smut or spice. It was like really intimidating, not necessarily for me, but I wanted to try it again, and I'm so glad that I did because I loved this entire series, which we will get to. Then I, like I said, continued on to The Bride Test, which is the second book in this series. In this one, we are following Esme and Kai. Kai is the one in the relationship with autism. This entire series has autism representation. The book starts out with Kai at a funeral for his best friend Andy, and ever since that funeral, because he didn't cry at the funeral and because of the way people reacted to him seemingly not outwardly grieving, he believes he is incapable of love. So he doesn't go on dates, he doesn't ask anything of anyone, he pretty much sticks to his routine, works, he'll do anything for his family, but in terms of pursuing friendships or relationships, he doesn't do a lot of that, just because he doesn't want to hurt anyone because he's not able to love them, is his belief. Enter Esme. She is in Vietnam, I believe. She has a 5-year-old daughter, and she is working at a hotel as like a janitor, basically, when Kai's mom comes in and says, you would be the perfect bride for my husband. We're gonna do like an arranged marriage, essentially. I want you to convince Kai that you are the one for him, and if you get married by the end of the year, you will be well taken care of, I promise. Esme can't really speak English, and she doesn't have a high school degree. She's like, I have a daughter. Doesn't tell any of this to his mom, but she's like, I have like not very high hopes, but you've shown me a picture of your son. He is absolutely stunning, and this kind of seems like my best chance. It's gonna suck that I have to be away from my child and my family for so long, because the dad is not in the picture. But at the same time, like, what other choice do I have? So she accepts. She goes to America to spend the summer with Kai, and of course they develop their relationship, developing boundaries. Esme learns English. She's going to like these night classes in order to get her GED, studying really hard, trying to like make Kai fall in love with her and be everything that she thinks he wants. I loved this book. This is one of my favorite romances I have ever read. It was an immediate 5-star for me. It might even be like a 6-star read. I don't know, but it will be on my favorite books of the year list at the end of this year because this was absolutely stunning. Like, how could it not be? The emotional range that this book had. Obviously, I mentioned that the first book had it as well, but this one just had so much depth to it. The love that the characters felt for one another, their individual stories, and the way that they grew together, learned from each other. I thought that there was going to be something at the end of the book that like caused more conflict. It wasn't an issue at all, and it was so heartwarming. I loved this book. I started tearing up toward the end. It made me so emotional. It was so beautiful. So this one was a 5 out of 5 star. Definitely my favorite in the series. I absolutely loved this one. Then of course I read The Heart Principle, which is the third and final book in this series, and I ended up giving this one. This one was my least favorite in this series, not because it was a bad book or done poorly. It was just a lot. Content warnings for, I don't even know how to put it, like comfort care, hospice for a loved one, end of life care done by the family. In this one we are following Anna, who is a musician, and she has like a musical block. She's diagnosed with autism at the very beginning of the book. She had never known that she had had it prior. And then we have Kwan, who is a character that is mentioned in the first 2 books. He is the brother of Kai, I believe, and he is dealing with the fact that he had testicular cancer, and he prior to this was a playboy, but since his diagnosis, and he is now in remission during this book, all of the treatments and everything, he's kind of like lost that part of himself, and he feels kind of insecure about it, I would say. At the beginning of the book, Anna's boyfriend says, "Hey, I kind of want to have an open relationship and just make sure that you're the one that I want to marry." Really, he's just looking for an excuse to sleep with other women. Disgusting. And I'm not saying that's like what everyone in an open relationship is looking to do at all. If that is your thing, go for it. I am not here to yuck your yum. His reasoning for it though was literally just to sleep with other women and like get away with it, because he wasn't even really asking her if it was okay. He was just saying, we're gonna do this, which disgusting. Hated him. They both find themselves in a position to be on Tinder. They try to have a one-night stand. Doesn't quite work out because of their own like things that they're dealing with. They continue to try to have one-night stands, get a little bit further each time, break down those walls, and eventually start to properly date each other. All the while Anna is dealing with her diagnosis and what that might mean for her, trying to be able to play music and still really struggling. And then something happens in her family where she's kind of forced to be with all of them, and they are not very understanding of anything that's going on. She's forced to be in a really, really difficult position, and it was truly very hard to read. It felt painful, like legitimate physical pain while I was reading it. So definitely look up content warnings like I mentioned. It was still a good book. Helen Huang still did an amazing job accurately depicting all of those like things, but it was just like a little bit too on the nose that I was like, this hurts to read about. I don't necessarily want to read this in like my fiction books where I'm trying to escape into La La Land. Still beautiful. Their love story was still stunning, and I love the way that they like understood each other. I don't remember what I rated that one. I think it was maybe a 3.75 or a 4-star. It was, like I said, still really good, and Helen Huang has an amazing way of writing, so I want to read more from her in the future. I think these are the only 3 books she has out right now, but if she publishes something else, I definitely want to keep an eye out for it. Then I read Killjoy by Holly Jackson. This was the one and only physical book that I read. This is a little prequel novella to the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. It is a murder mystery dinner party that one of Pip's friends is hosting with like a few of her other friends, and they've got a whole storyline. It was beautiful. The atmosphere atmosphere of it was incredibly well done. I really liked this one. It had me laughing, it had me like in suspense, questioning things. The way that Holly Jackson crafts a mystery is just, it exceeds everything, especially for YA. Like she has it. Reading this encouraged me to pick up As Good as Dead, so that is something that I will be reading this month if you missed my August TBR. I ended up giving this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars, I believe. Then I wanted one more silly little murder mystery because that was the mood I was in after reading some really depressing romances and then a really good thriller. So I picked up The Agathas by Liz Lawson and Kathleen Glasgow. This is following like one of the girls who was really popular, and previously she had disappeared from her town for 5 days because she had gone through like a really bad breakup, and she wanted to see if her friends would like care that she was gone, or if anyone would care that she was gone. And for that she was put on like house arrest. So when she comes back, things are a little bit awkward with all of her friends. Another one of the catalysts for her leaving is that her best friend at the time started dating her freshly ex-boyfriend. So they are still dating when she makes a return to school. She returns on Halloween and ends up going to this party that they were all having, which she wasn't invited to, and sees these two get into a fight, and then her best friend ends up missing. Police don't take it very seriously because they're like, she's just copying you probably, and she's like, no, I know this girl, she wouldn't do that. And so she enlists the help of her tutor to kind of figure out what's going on, why no one's doing anything about it, get like other adults who might care involved. It's very much like an Agatha Christie novel. One of the main characters, what's her name? Alice, the one who like pulled the little disappearing act, is very much into Agatha Christie novels, and so she treats this as an Agatha Christie adventure with different quotes from Agatha Christie like intertwined and interwoven into the story, which I really liked. And then Iris has like her reasons for helping her. Her mom struggles with money, and there's like another plot point going on in the story as well. Kind of motivates her because there is a financial reward for finding this girl or information about what happened to her. This one ended up being a 4 out of 5 stars. I feel like if you like A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, this is a really good one to read. It wasn't as well done, I would say, as Holly Jackson, but it was still like really close. I just feel like Holly Jackson's on another level when it comes to YA mystery, in my opinion. But like I said, I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. It was still really, really well done. And now I am done yapping about the 7 books that I read in the month of July. Overall, it was a really decent reading month, and I am hoping to have just as good of a reading month quality-wise in August. But let me know down in the comments below what you read this past month, or if you've read any of these, all your thoughts on everything. I love talking to you guys, even if all you say is hi. I've been saying that, but I just like, it's so true, and I want whoever clicks on one of my videos to know that I appreciate it. If you say hi, that means so much to me. You don't have to say anything at all, but I love it when you guys do say something, because it truly means the world to me. But anyway, that is going to be it from me. Like I said, comment all of that stuff below. I do truly love talking to you guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you're doing well reading, mentally, and otherwise, and I really hope to see you all in my next video very, very soon. Bye guys. I gotta go because it is freaking hot in this car.